right, welcome to another episode of the EmpowerMEN podcast. Rafi, how you going?
Good, mate. Good. I wonder if my internet's going to struggle tonight, but we are going to do our best because I'm probably glitchy to you, Mosho. I don't know if I am or not, but
a little bit. But what would it be if we didn't have internet issues?
Oh my gosh, the NBN in Melbourne is not good.
Well, here we talk about it's basically real men talking about real life, and we've got a guy on today who's, let's be honest, he's about half our age, Rafi. You know,
speak for yourself, mate.
You know, we're mature. We've seen a few things. This guy has totally transformed his life around from being bullied as a teenager. Totally transformed, lost 40 kilos, and he's had, he's now winning at life. So we thought we'd get him on. He's early 20s, and his name is Mitch Harris.
G'day, guys. How we going?
There he is. How are you, mate?
Going well, mate. Thank you for having me, especially today, World's Men's Health Day. Pretty exciting stuff to be talking about mental health and, chatting with you guys all about, it's weird talking about yourself sometimes, but yep. I love chatting, as most of you people know.
But yeah, no, and that's good because when, you open up a little bit about yourself, that makes other people go, wow, if he can open up, then maybe I can open up and, talk about things with other people. So I think it's such an important thing to chat about things like this. So
absolutely. It's something that it's becoming, the stigma is becoming now not to hide away, it's to open up and chat. And you're seeing more and more blokes come out now and open up about their feelings, and the stigma of getting balls and manning up, manning up is now talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's track back. How old are you now?
I'm 22 now.
22. I'm pretty sure I met you when you were, 18?
Yeah, I would have been 18 going on just about to turn 19.
Okay, yeah. So your cousin Rach, she said, you got to go see Cole in the pit. You're a little larger. You're a little heavier than you are now.
You can say that.
But you walked down, you were like 128 kilos, something like that, I think.
See, we say that, but I don't reckon we stood on the scales until maybe a couple of weeks afterwards. So I reckon I was up in the 130s. When we officially weighed in, I was 126, 127 kilos.
Yep. So I remember the day you walked down 3.5 years ago, and you basically said to me, Cole, what did you say, Cole?
I said, I'll do whatever it takes.
I'll do whatever it takes. And you know what? I thought, he's another one that says, I'll do that. I'll just be in. I'll do whatever it takes, and not to doubt you, Mitch, but, sometimes you sort of think, people have best intentions, but following through with that statement is something different. So you actually did, and talk us through maybe that first year of you actually lost 40 kilos in that first year. So talk us through sort of what you learned, about yourself, about nutrition or training or just anything in that first year.
Yeah, I remember that first day very vividly. Walked in and met I was a nervous wreck. I mean, if I was shaking, you would have seen me fat, just jiggling everywhere. And I said those words, and it was probably the first time in my life that I actually meant what I said. I was just ready to make a change. Something clicked in my head, and I remember Rach saying to go down to Cole, and I saw her transformation on getting on stage, and I just said, I'll do whatever it takes. And by that, I meant if I had to eat tuna and rice for the next 100 days or whatever it was to get thin, I was willing to do that.
Yep.
Luckily for the next year, it wasn't just tuna and rice. It was actually eating really, really good foods, chicken. I was still having pasta, which was, I thought, nah, you can never have pasta. I learned heaps. It's all about nutrition. Instead of going and getting Maccas and getting chicken nuggets, I was having chicken breast, and just like learning about the nutritional value and all that, something completely different. I learned how to train. I've been in the gym, but I never really learned about training. I would go there and, would do the classic bicep curl, or I would attempt a push up, but as we all know, I couldn't probably do a push up to save my life then. And I really learned about myself. I was always a very outgoing kid through high school. I was always willing to do stuff like this, talk in front of people. But I learned that it was okay to be vulnerable. I probably cried more than I ever had before through that year. And in front of other blokes and in front of people I've never met, I opened up completely, and not only in the gym, but outside the gym with mum, dad, my sister, Ashley, my really close friends. I opened up and said that I wasn't okay and I was really struggling with everything that was going on. With everything that happened in life from probably, my early teenagehood to when I started the gym, I was in a really rough spot. And people know that now. I'm glad that I was able to sit down and chat with the people, and the ones closest to me, I can't thank them enough for the support they've thrown behind me and sticking by me, because I know there's plenty of times for that first year where I could have punched a hole through them because they said keep pushing, and I just didn't feel like keep pushing.
Yeah.
But that whatever it takes quote, it stuck by me the entire journey, and still is. I wrote it up on my whiteboard. I had it as my phone background. The first day you made the gym program for me, you wrote it in big black letters and underlined it and big exclamation points. And I'm sure if you went somewhere and searched and for those days where, because, people thought my journey was downhill, like it was just, on the ski slopes. But it really wasn't. There was days where I was up, down. There was days where I plateaued. But those words stuck by me. And I really want to get them tattooed somewhere. As you know, I've got a little bit of ink now, but those days where I just couldn't be bothered going to the gym, or I felt down like I used to, or I said, I stepped on the scales and it was either going up, or I had a really big week on the training track and nothing happened, and I was like, nah, I give up. I remember just what you said to me. You said, do whatever it takes, mate. I'll support you. I'll help train you, and it definitely got me through that first year.
And I remember the very time that you lost 40 kilos, I said, all right, let's strap it back on you. That was, I think, one of the most emotional days we've had in the pit.
Absolutely.
We strapped, literally, I had to try and be creative and strap two 10-kilo vests on and tuck weights in everywhere. And I remember then saying, all right, train like you normally train with 40 kilos extra on you. And literally you started doing push-ups and you couldn't do them and you broke down. And then I said, all right, do some pull-ups. Off you go. So you couldn't do one pull-up.
We did the dreaded Sally squats, and I'm sure everyone that goes to the pit knows how tiring Sally squats are. But to have the extra 40 kilos on it broke me. I remember afterwards we filmed it all and put it on Facebook, and the support that got thrown at me then was amazing. But what they didn't see was how emotional it was before and after the video, and the year leading up to that as well. Like I saw little glimpses of my progress, but the people in the pit really saw how much I pushed myself and how much blood, sweat, and tears. I literally blood, sweat, and tears I put into training.
And I think one of the most fulfilling things for me as a coach was to pull that 40 kilos back off you, and then you just smashed out these pull-ups like you never have. and then I think the hug went for a while.
The hug did go for a little bit. It was definitely a little man hug moment, and that's the other thing. The hugs. Blokes hugging blokes. There's a stigma of you shake the man's hand, but down the pit, you give a hug and you mean the hug. It's not a little how you going, mate? It's a proper hug.
Well, maybe just tell us a little bit about what happened before you got to the pit. Like, I met you as this fun star, sort of, overweight guy who was really passionate about getting, losing weight. But, I know there's a lot of things that happened at school and a range of different things previous. Like, maybe chat through a little bit of how, times that you had there.
Yeah. So I was always, if I go back to the start of high school, really, I was always a really sporty kid. I did swimming, footy, cricket, hockey, baseball, netball. I did it all. I was always an active kid. I went for school athletics, school swimming, you name it. I was school sports captain in one of, I think, primary school. I loved me sport. I loved going to sport. That wasn't the issue. The issue was for me was the food. And then transitioning into high school, all my mates were starting to get, 5 foot, 6 foot tall, and I was staying around the little short kid. I didn't grow until I was 18, and I think for me that put me down a little bit. I know I was always called short. Like that didn't affect me much, but I'd let it affect me, and I ate away my feelings, and I kept eating and eating and eating, and then I got bigger, and so I got sadder, and I kept eating away my feelings, and then to the point where it just got really bad. I think for me the worst part was end of year 10, year 11. You start getting to that age where kids start to drink. The friendship groups start to separate a little bit more. You find out who your really close mates are, who are the ones that are just hanging around, who you will never speak to again after high school. Which I'm lucky I've still kept in touch with a lot of people after high school. And they've thrown a lot of support behind me there. But year 11, I remember it was very early on. I lost a mate, Berkey, in a car accident. And that shook me. That was probably the most, up until that point in my life, in my young adult life, that was probably the most traumatic thing that's happened. I was only speaking to him probably not long before, and about coming back to footy and playing our last year of Colts together, and it did shake me a little bit, and I got pretty emotional about that, and I think I got a little bit paranoid as well, thinking and it's weird to say, but I was thinking if that was to happen to me, what would my legacy be behind? And I got pretty down in the dumps about that, and then continued to eat away my feelings, and I got bigger, and it started taking a toll on my mental health really badly, because then it started taking a toll on my school life. I ended up pretty much flunking school. And sorry to mum if you're watching, but there was days where I would wake up and I would fake, being sick because I just couldn't stand going to school because I actually hated it. I wouldn't say I hated the kids there, because I love being social, but there was some people where they thought it was joking along, but it was cutting me deep, and I don't think they realised it, and I still don't think, it's teenagers and it happens. I don't hold any grudges, but it definitely changed who I was. I was always the outgoing kid, and everyone knows that I was always the outgoing kid, and I became a big shadow of myself. I remember countless people came up to me and said, "You're going to be school captain, you're going to be college captain," and joked around about that, and then I ended up leaving at the end of year 11. I went and did CETA. I had to have a change, and I thought that was the right thing to do, but it wasn't, because by the time I got to CETA, I turned 18, I got my license, I started working night shift at Macca's, and I was choosing the easy options. You think being in a sports background, you'll learn about the nutrition and all that behind it, but no, I chose the easy options, and late nights and drive-throughs, early mornings. That rattled me, and continued to play me cricket, stopped playing me footy, but played me cricket in the summer, and it was the grand final in 2016-17 season, so just before I started the pit. I came in with not many overs to go, and I remember the team that we played, they weren't that nice of a bunch, and they called me every name under the southern sun, I can tell you that. I'm sure if I was to say some of the things, Mum would run down to Traralgon and put soap in my mouth. And if Grandma's watching too, I think she might faint. I got called under every name under the southern sun, and I played a really good innings, probably one of the best innings I've ever played in my life. And I remember my captain coach at the time pulled me aside and said, "Mate, if you lost the weight, things could change, and that didn't really sink in. I was like, yeah, whatever. It's always been told, and but something clicked, and it led me to the pit. So that was the pre-beginning, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I remember another goal you wanted to step into or work towards, what you thought was your dream job. Tell us a little bit about that, and how, because I guess when we start and we have goals, there's always a motivation. There's always a motivation to start. But, as I say to a lot of people, motivation at the start is easy, but it's the habits that keep you going.
Yeah.
You still got to have that initial motivation, that there's initial goal. So tell us about that side of it.
I remember I think it was like my second session with you. We sat down and did the traditional pit talk with the whiteboard, and it was in front of the old Smith machine then. You went up against the Smith machine there. Yep. And you sat down and we wrote out some goals, and the first goal we wrote was to get under 100 kilos, get under that triple fig. The next goal was to be happy, and the third goal was to get into the police force. We ticked off that first goal within 6 months.
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Where we left that second goal, the be happy goal, off because now it's just not about being happy; it's about continuing to be happy. And that third goal, I was I'm happy to say that we ticked off in October when I got accepted into the police force, and now living out my dream as a copper. For me, it was that goal setting. We kept changing that top one. That was our gym goal. It was to get 20 kilos, and then it was to drop down to 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, so on. And then we changed it to do the fitness show. To do that, and now it was so that was forever changing once we kept hitting goals. And for the reason for goal setting was to have something to aim at. I think now having something to aim at is so important, whether it's even just to get up and go for a walk or walk that extra K tomorrow, or it's, little things like that. By ticking something off or crossing something out, it's one of the best feelings you can do. I know for me, when I clean, you write a list, you cross it off the list, it's good to go. Goal setting changed my life for the best because Cole explained it really perfectly. If you don't have goals, what's the point? And another one of my goals that I never told anyone was to look good for girls. Going through high school, I was always that kid I was always the friend kid. Wasn't looked at by many girls, and that hurt a little bit. That definitely ate away my feelings. But it's nice when you lose the weight and pretty girls start to look at you.
And pretty boys.
Yeah. I mean, you're a pretty boy, Cole.
How did losing the weight then, dropping 40 kilos, that's not an easy thing to do. How did losing the weight change the relationships that were around you at the time? Because I'd imagine if you wound back the clock to when you were 40 kilos overweight, over the weight you are now, your relationships would be vastly different to where they are now. And that's not just because you're in the force, but how did they change? What changed around you when the weight started to drop off?
I'll start with family. When I was overweight, I would often hide away in my room, sit on my bed, play video games and stuff like that. Would come home from school or work and just go straight up to my bedroom. And I was pretty much all it was doing. I was hiding is because I was embarrassed and I was sad about the way I was. So going through the weight loss, I remember just before I started, or just as I started, I sat down with mum and dad and opened up and cried like I've never cried before. And I'm sure mum won't mind me saying, mum cried and dad got a bit emotional, which that shook me a bit as well, because I didn't realise how the impact that I was having on myself was impacting them. You don't realise that at the time. But then going through it, they were the most supportive people, and I thank them every day for it. My relationship now with my family is so much stronger. We've learned about each other. Mum's even now going to the pit and loving it, going down the pit. Just being able to come home from work and say good day and sit down and have a chat about your day and sit in front of the tally. And that was really something that was really good for me, because now in the force, people say chatting about what's happened at work is the best thing. And I'm lucky that Dad, the career he's got, he's able to support me, and he's been through some stuff similar. So chatting like that, it's just been really good for me. And I've built new relationships. The pit, thank God for the pit, because I've met some incredible people. And also, just speaking of the pit, I do want to give a quick shout out. I don't know if they're watching tonight because they're probably busy, but Josh and Steph, congratulations on your little girl. Everyone at the pit's really excited to meet her. And yeah, we can't wait to put her in a little pit t-shirt.
Yeah. She's our first official pit baby.
So
they've had their first pub, so that's
and that's the thing with the pit. You meet some incredible people. Like I've got two very, very, I'm going to say it, they're my best mates in Scott and Riley. We hang shit on each other 24/7. I don't think I've ever said a nice thing about each other, but they're my boys, and they're the best thing, because even though we do hang shit, we're always there to support each other. And whether someone's going through a bad day or having a really good day, we're always there to either bring them back down to the level or try and bring them up. And yeah, I've met so many people through the gym, and Colin's told my story to, I think, everyone that's come in. So I'll walk down and they'll go, "Oh, g'day, Mitch," and I'm like, "Oh, hi." But the friendship and being able to be open about it, it's really good.
But I think the inspiration would be part of that too, because I mean, Riley is watching. Riley Timms is watching, and he's written up. I don't have a question, but you're such a big inspiration to myself and my own journey. You constantly strive for better and always have a smile on your face. Thanks for being a wall to fall back on. Love you, big man. Elise Norman said, "Absolute weapon, Mitch." You know, I'm sure that, and sorry, I shouldn't miss Kelly. Cameron said, "Proud of you, Mitch. Love you." And there's probably, another 15, 20, 30 people that would say the same thing. Is that a motivating factor for you now, that you've got people who are you're inspiring to become a better version of themselves? So, because I'm going to take a guess. The people you've met down Traralgon, the people you've met in the police force, when you tell your story that you were 40 kilos overweight, I'm guessing they would go, "What the heck? Are you serious?"
Yeah.
That would be total foreign to them. So is that a big motivating factor for you now, to stay in shape and to keep driving for those people, not just for you and for your mum and dad?
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to and that's the thing I've learned is you've got to focus on yourself, number one. So I don't want to let myself down, but number two, I don't want to let anyone else down. I remember with Elise Norman, who commented just before, we sat on the plane home from Darwin when we went up there for CEDAR. We sat on the plane home and said, in 12 months' time, we're going to be the best version of ourselves. And I remember we sent each other photos in pretty much 12 months' time. And the transformations that we went through were pretty incredible. And I thank Stormy for sticking by me. We send each other gym stuff all the time. And to Riley and Kelly, they're right into their gym too. And so little tips and tricks and being able to train together and talk, that's really good. But yeah, when I tell my people my story, or they say, "What led you to get into the force?" and I say, "Oh, I lost 40 kilos." I try and hold off on it as much as I can, but you get mates on Facebook and they start scrolling as they do, and they go, "Who the hell's that kid?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's me." I came into work one day, and the photo of my massive head with long hair has gone around, and everyone's commenting. I was like, "Oh no, I might have to move somewhere else now."
He's put 40 kilos back on his head.
That's what honestly it all was. It was all around my chin, and
but as embarrassing as that must be to see, it would also be very, you must have a smile on your face when you see a photo of how you were to how you are now, because it wasn't that long ago. Like, you talked about you're only 22. Yeah. So it's only like 4 years ago. And let's face it, you're in the prime of your life. 18 to 22, that's a pretty catalyst time for a young man. So you've done it at a remarkable time, rather than waiting till you're 60 when you've wasted a lot of your life away. Hit 40 years of, "Oh my gosh, I've been this big dude" kind of thing. I think you've done it at an amazing time.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, definitely. And that was something that mum and dad talked to me. They said, you don't want to hit 30 and have nothing to look back on, and get to 30 and go, "Oh shit, I've got to do something," because then it becomes harder. And, the way I was tracking, I would have been 150 kilos in no time. It was terrible. And I knew that I had to change. I just didn't want to do it. It was simple as that beforehand. And then something clicked and I got to do it, which thank God for that. But yeah, when people come up to me and say, your story is inspiring, I kind of sit and reflect on what I've actually done. And I don't really think about it too much, but it's a massive achievement. And to lose 40 kilos is something that I'm extremely proud of, and down the line, it's going to be something that I'll tell my kids, and I hope that I can keep this healthy lifestyle and teach them all about it and make sure that they're fit and healthy.
I think Mosh got a photo.
There we go. There's the old Mitchie and the new Mitchie. So. Yeah. People can have a good look at that, and that.
I think the best thing about that photo there is someone told me to pull my head in about my haircut. I mean, what was I thinking? I think my first session I came in, I had the little ponytail. I don't know what I was thinking there. Definitely don't know what I was thinking there.
But like, you know, everybody that comes into the pit, I give them the talk, and they all look at you, and they're all like, wow. You know, most of the, you know, a lot of them now wouldn't have a clue who you are, haven't met you, you know, but they look at you and go, you're now their inspiration, you know, and so which that is just amazing, and it's so good that you've been able to do this within like a community setting. And I mean, maybe talk to us a little bit about how you see having someone like Scott and Riley, you know, as much as you know, hang it on each other, but you know, there's still a lot of people here who know you and that, but doing stuff like that within, not trying to just go and do it yourself, because, you know, you said to me that you tried for years to try and do it by yourself, but how important is it to sort of do it with people and in a community?
I'll take back my comment. I won't say I did it by myself. I'll say Dad really tried to push me, and I apologise to Dad, because there was many mornings where he'd go, "Come on, mate, let's go for a run." Took me to the gym where, you know, he started outlifting me, and I've gone, "Oh, this is embarrassing. My dad's outlifting me." You know, he's 50 years old, and he's you know, running marathons and stuff that he's doing. So no, I didn't do it by myself. But coming into the pit lifestyle, where it's not about where you've started, where you've come from, what your background is, what you're lifting. I mean, it is a bit now with the boys. You know, we have that competition between us, but it's, yeah, none of that. It doesn't matter. We're all there to support each other. You know, being a bloke who was severely overweight, I was very embarrassed to step on the scales. I was very embarrassed to put a t-shirt that fit on. You know, I was wearing 3-4 XL t-shirts to try and cover my body. But I remember we did this thing called Monday Fat Blasters, and the people in there were so supportive and, you know, come on, Mitch, and pushing you. And now you go in there and you start doing some more weight stuff, and people are going, "Can I just grab a spot?" Or you say g'day to someone, and, you know, by the end of it, you're best mates and you're hugging. So to do it with people around you, it's really good, because they get to see you every day. You know, it's not like you go to a commercial gym where there's 150 people at a time in there, and, you know, every second day is a new person, whereas the pit, it was a community, and it's the best thing that I've ever been involved with. Thank God for that, because, yeah, who knows where I would be, and who knows the people I would have met.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And even if it's not within, I mean, thanks for your words. I mean, that's amazing to me. Like, that makes me feel awesome, you know. But I think sometimes if people don't have access to somewhere like the pit, or at least having one other person that you can sort of call on and say, "Look, I'm struggling, let's go train," and, you know, being able to do that sort of thing, I think is important too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to jump back in the pit, and I don't think you get enough credit, Cole, of the environment that you've built in there. You've made it so open, friendly, and a place where I know many people have, you know, spilled their guts out and said lots of things that have been on their chest or in their mind, or going through relationship breakups, or whatever it may be. You've been the guy that's there and been the shoulder to cry on, or to hug, or push training, or whatever it is. Yeah, you're all our inspiration. You know, you say I'm inspiration of people, but you're my inspiration. I know for everyone in the gym, the way you train, you set the example. You set the example about being open, being honest, and you don't let a day slip. You know, there was many days where people would come in and you straight away, bang, "What's going on, mate? Sit down, chat with me." You pull us aside for 10, 15 minutes, and you got our mind on track, and we hit this massive session, and it was the best, because you had the worst day ever, and it's turned into the best day because, you know, you've taught us a new exercise, or you've just said one little thing that's just clicked our mind, and we're good to go. So on behalf of everyone at the pit, mate, thank you for everything.
I appreciate that. Thanks, mate. That hits my heart.
And we've had some other people give shout outs too. Brenda Jones. I know Brenda. She's lovely. Such an inspiring story of transformation. Jimmy Williams has written something really, really nice. Now he's so proud of you, mate. You inspire us all. You light up the room when you walk in and make everyone feel awesome. It's like your 21st, buddy, except you're older than 21. Ray Mondo said, "Watching at the moment. Good on you, Mitch." And you know, this inspiration stuff that you just talked about, being a role model to people, is really important, because any of us can grab an Instagram account and see The Rock and see Arnold Schwarzenegger doing his thing, but they're so far above where you are at. Whereas you would be mixing with guys and girls around you in your network, same age as you, maybe a bit younger, a little bit older, that would look to you as if he can do it, I can do it, because I knew when this guy was not good and now he's awesome and I want to be like that and I want a piece of that.
Yeah, that's the big thing with the pit. You've got blokes that are there from, I forgot what his name was. It slipped me mind, but I think he was 70 years old. And
Johnny, 70.
Boy, that's it. Where we would train together. It was myself and John would train together. Then the next session, it was myself and two boys who were year 8, 9 in high school. And the age difference, it doesn't matter which end of the scale you're on. If you're there to lift or you're there to do a training session, you push each other no matter what. And yeah, the kids inspired me. They go, well, if I had started back then when I was 8, 9, I could, look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or look like The Rock now. But, it's not meant to be. Yeah, everyone starts at different points of their life. And I was just lucky I started when I did.
So what are you doing? Hang on. You go, Raph. You go.
I was going to say just quickly, what are you doing to stay fit? Because we've just gone through, you can't get to gyms, you can't train. You're in, I shouldn't say where you are, but you're not close to the pit anymore. I don't want to say it because of your work as a police officer, but you're miles from the pit now. It's not exactly a Sunday drive to get there. So what are you doing to maintain the level of fitness that you're at, not only for the force, but for yourself as well?
Yeah, so I've been lucky that Cole had rented out some gym equipment and, we borrowed some of the gym equipment and just through all Cole's teaching was able to, create programs or mix and match or adjust little things here and there. So I've still been able to train and lift heavy, and I decided to invest in some equipment myself, and because of the lifestyle and what happened with the COVID. So I bought some equipment and the boys, we send photos to each other all the time. So that's still my pit community vibe through them. And Colin, I know, sends me snaps all the time when people come down there. And but I've been lucky that where I am based, it is country Victoria. So gyms are now back open. But they've been open a little bit longer. So it's not the same vibe as the pit, unfortunately.
Do you go around giving people a hug and they're like, what the hell are you doing, man?
I wish I could. I honestly wish I could. Sometimes, you just need a hug. But
a virtual hug.
Yeah, virtual hug. And that's the other thing with COVID, you go to fist bump someone and they get the spray and they spray their hands and, you do those high fives and send handshake. But no, it's something different. It's good to experience something different, that you learn something new just by looking at. And it's weird because you find yourself looking around and what people do in the gym, especially when there's a lot of people, and you learn things through there. So, I haven't got the pit at my fingertips like I did, but I definitely try and bring the pit vibe wherever I go, that's for sure. And always, as I said, always repping the pit.
Nice.
So tell us about that.
Same.
I'll give you a pit t-shirt, right?
Nice.
So Mitchy, tell us about you've been down where you are now for 6 months, is it? Or I don't know, COVID's thrown everything out.
Yeah, 5 months.
Yeah. So, you've got a house and, you've set yourself up there. How did you go transitioning from, being a guy that lived at home, everything was sort of there and it was all sorted, and you had to suddenly shift everything and deal with COVID,
It's been difficult, I'm not going to lie. There's definitely some days where I had a good little tear and, called up mum and dad or called up my mate and said, I'm missing you. But it's been good because I've been able to grow so I grew from 18 to 22, learning about myself, and now I'm, from here on, I'm living by myself. So I've got to pay bills and cook for myself, and it's lucky I've had a lot of teachings from the people around me about cooking and cleaning because I live in a struggle town. With COVID, it's been pretty difficult.
Clean the floors at your house?
What was that, sorry?
Do you clean the floors at your mum and dad's house?
I mean, yeah.
I'm sticking up for Jenny, that's all, because she would have been like, hang on, I taught you, but you didn't do it.
Lucky she's not here right now. She'd probably come over and, give me a bit more.
Anyway,
It's been difficult with COVID because, as you said, I'm not around the corner from family. All my family is back home in Greensboro and St Helena or around that area. And there's been the border restrictions, so they haven't been able to come out. And with work, it's, I'm not that 9 to 5 job, and Monday to Friday, I'm 24/7, 365. My roster can be anywhere. So mum and dad haven't even come up to see the house yet. I haven't seen my pa, who, if it wasn't for COVID, I'm sure he would have been up watching me play cricket here. That's the other thing, I've made a bunch of new mates up here with cricket and gym, and so I've got my own little group now. I've got work mates, I've got cricket mates, and I'm going to get back into footy. I try to involve myself in the community that way, and so that's probably the way I've been able to keep myself level, and from having ups and downs days, I've been really up all the time because I've met some really, really good people through gym and through work, now cricket as well.
Yeah. And I think what you're pointing to there is that you've immersed yourself in another community and being able to go, you know what, I've left my community, but I've put myself out there. And like you did when you walked into the pit that first time, I mean, Rach told me she was bugging you for months and months to come down. But sometimes I think it's hard for someone in a difficult spot to then go and put themselves out and go, you know what, I'm just going to go down and join a footy club or join somewhere and just put myself out there to be a bit vulnerable and, meet some new people. And
that's been a massive thing, is being vulnerable. For me, it's taking the next step. So I was vulnerable coming into the pit. My next big step was to lose the weight. My next big step was to compete. My next big step was to get into the force. And now, I got into the force, was to get through the academy and graduate. So it's all those steps. And now everything was just seeming to go right in my life. I think I don't believe in any of that stuff, but I think the paths were lining up for me, and it was my turn to have the ups and have the good times. And I said, I've got to take this leap of faith. Mum and dad said, and my sister said, you'll be stupid not to move out of home and go experience life somewhere else and get some really good life experience and work experience. And so I just did it. I grabbed, as they say, I grabbed life by the balls and just went, bugger it, I'm going for it. And I don't think I've looked back since. So
it's pretty special of your dad to do that, because you would. I'm going to take another guess that you've got a pretty good relationship with your mum and dad, because you've trained with your dad, you've run with your dad. And for your dad,
hang on. I wouldn't say I've run with my dad. I've dawdled with my
sorry.
dad.
Tried to run with your dad.
Me, but
but that makes it special for you to have that relationship, and for him to push you out the nest. And I'm sure he'd be missing you, and mum would be missing you like crazy. Yeah. So that's a pretty big, bold step. Tell me, how did you going from, because you've explained that you would spend time in your room and not want to see anyone, and then you trained and got on, you started to show your body. That's a massive change from, I don't want to see anyone, to actually I'm seeing big crowds now. So how did you cope with that mentally? Because that shift is quite dramatic.
Yeah, it was massive. Wouldn't take my shirt off going down the beach. I wouldn't take my shirt off going to the backyard of the pool when there was no one. I was scared of me on reflection.
Now he comes down to the pit, takes it off straight away.
Or others take it off.
Hey, what's the rule? 12 degrees?
12 degrees. And
12 degrees. So it was about taking steps. It was from getting into shirts that weren't fitting to shirts that looked good, and going out into the public wearing those shirts, and you'd see someone down the shops, or you'd see someone out at a party, and they'd say, geez, you look good, and then, all right, tick, next one, what's next? For me, it was buying a size 33 pants, 32 pants. I've got tree trunk legs, and as Cole knows, the grounds were moving when I'd walk down into the pit. I was pushing size 42 male pants or whatever it was. So it was about dropping the pant sizes, and mum going, shit, bud, we got to go and buy new clothes. So that was, a massive confidence booster. It was all the boys taking their shirts off, and I was the last one in the gym not to. And then they're going, "Come on, mate, come on, do it." And you do it the first time, and you, all right, cool, tick. To competing on stage, which to show my body off. If you had told 15, 16-year-old me that you're getting up there and flexing abs, he would have smacked you in the face, because that's just ridiculous. To now, I look at myself in the mirror and I look at bits where I know I can improve and bits where I'm really happy with. And to be able to do that I'm pretty proud of myself. And it's been pretty special, especially being able to go down the beach and you take your top off. I'm just thankful that I've got tattoos on my back. I'm just thankful that they didn't shrink like I did. So,
like a Mad Max magazine.
Yeah, exactly. So when I close it up, they form a different tattoo.
So what would you then say to, not just someone young like you were 18, but anyone in any stage of life who just goes, I want to change, but I don't know what to do. I don't have I want to set a goal. I want to change either my weight or my situation or my job situation, whatever it might be. And there's a whole lot of different things, obviously, but from your experience, what would you say to that person if they were sitting across from you having a coffee or a beer now? What would you say to them?
That's a really good question. My first one is, I say, you know what, I would recommend you to Colin. Handball straight off the bat. But if it was for your fitness goals, I would say start little, work big. No one walks into the gym and deadlifts 200 kilos. No one walks into the gym and loses 40 kilos in 10 months. It's about taking the little steps. I started it 3 days a week and was eating clean. Then I went to, because I ended up falling in love with being at the gym. I started off as a chore, because for me, getting to the gym was so impossible to do. It started off as a chore, and then became a habit by going, and then became a hobby. And so it was about getting to those 3 stages, whereas to then I went from 3 days a week to 5 days a week to now I'm training pretty much every day. And so, it's about mixing them up, finding what you love, whether it's going to the gym or playing cricket, footy, netball, whatever your thing is, give it a crack, because you never know, you might just fall in love with it and change your life from there. If it was about your life goals, like, work or relationship, I'd be just take that leap of faith. You've got nothing to lose. Say you go for it and 5 minutes down the track it doesn't work out, at least you can say you had a go. Whereas instead of sitting on your ass and going, woe is me, or, I can't do this, start saying you can do it. And you wouldn't believe how much you can actually achieve, because 95% of the time it's just in your mind. And that was a massive thing for me, pushing that extra rep, running an extra K, it's in your mind. Or doing a little bit of extra study, especially going through the academy, put that extra hour of study in, and it's unbelievable what you can actually achieve. So I'd say, just give it a crack.
No, that's awesome. We're getting close to time, Mitchy, but there's a question we ask everybody, and it doesn't have to be related to anything we've spoken to, but to you about. But we want to just give random bits of advice to guys from what you've learned maybe in life, or just something you've Googled. No, but just we want people to be the best version of themselves. So if you've got anything that you could sort of leave us with, a nugget of wisdom or something.
So I don't know, 22 years, I don't think there's much wisdom up there, especially with me. I wouldn't say I'm the brightest kid going around, but if I could say one thing, it's just to be vulnerable. Learn to have those hard days, but being able to pick yourself up from it. Even though I said that my darkest days were before I joined the gym, I probably cried more after joining the gym, just because I'm now, the kid that I'm there to cry if I need to. I'm happy to. I've broken that stigma. I definitely was a part of that stigma of, manning up, get some balls, don't be a girl. That's straight behind me now. So break that barrier and learn to be vulnerable. I think that's massive. Don't be afraid to get broken. if it's about asking a girl out, ask her out, or if it's about going to the gym, go and put your clothes on and just get there, because the hardest thing is taking that first step. Once you take that first step, your feet start going and the ball starts rolling.
Yeah, awesome.
You sound like you've got a newfound compassion, mate. And you sound like a guy who's very in touch with his emotional side, which I've got to say, I'm generalising here. I've got a lot of cop friends and they're amazing and they're similar to you, but the force is generally known to not be compassionate and not have that vulnerability. So you must be, and I love it, you must be a countercultural guy in a police force that really needs this kind of thing.
And I think that's what's changing through the force now. I can't speak for everyone because everyone's different, but it's definitely becoming a lot more about mental health. Unfortunately, it's a lot of the things we deal with, a lot of the jobs that we do go to are about mental health. And for us, it's about just going there and talking to them and trying to play our part into making sure that they get their mind back on track. I've been lucky enough to go through a lot of mindful sessions with school or with Cole, with mum and dad. Through the police force, they talk a lot about mental health. This side of the job, it's not easy. And there's been days where I've gone, oh shit, am I good enough to be in the police force? And there's been days where I go, yep, all right, I'm on the correct career path. But I think the way that we're viewing Victoria Police now, it's completely different to what I viewed it in 5 years, because when I saw coppers, I shit myself. Now when I see coppers, I say g'day, and it's probably because I'm in the force, but I feel like there's a lot of grumpy police officers. I'm grumpy a lot of the time too, but there's no copper that won't say g'day. So
hey, if we see those lights behind us in the car, we're not feeling good. If they're in front, okay.
I've definitely copped it over my time, but should be right. Cop it on the chin.
Good, mate. Well, thanks heaps for joining us tonight. It's been awesome to have you along, and we're so super proud of, the guy that you are, and, you're just killing it and, kicking goals. And, just keep smashing it, and hopefully you get back to the pit one day.
Mate, I'll definitely be back. Just before we do wrap up, I know that a lot of the people tuning in tonight are my very close mates. So to my family, mum, dad, Ash and Kieran, grandma, grandpa, pa, and all my extended family, thank you for being there for me, for pushing me every day. To my best mates, there's someone that, I've been best mates with since high school. He doesn't go to the gym, but every day he would, inspire me just to keep pushing because of his story, completely different story. But to Scotty, Riley, Liam, all the cricket boys, to anyone that I went to school with, thank you for supporting me. To all my Monty people, we didn't end on the best path. We didn't finish high school together, but whenever we get to go to 21st, they always say how proud I am of me, and I know they mean it because I can see it in their face. They're genuinely excited by what I get to achieve. So I don't say enough, but thank you to everyone for pushing me and for making me the man I am today.
Awesome stuff.
One last one. Can't leave you out, Cole. To everyone in the pit community, Cole, your family has been, my second family. It's just been an amazing ride. It sucked leaving that last day where it got pretty emotional because I wasn't sure when I was going to be able to get back there. And, to Zaz and Nick and to Caleb to allow me into the gym, into your home, sometimes at ridiculous hours. So thank you for that, and can't wait for what the future brings.
Pleasure, mate. No, that's awesome. So, well, there's a way to wrap up a podcast. So, appreciate that. So, Raph, all good from you? You got anything else, or are you?
No, that's good. That's great. You've got an amazing story, Mitch, and you're inspiring a lot of people. And I'm certain of this, you're going to be inspiring a lot more people to come. So that's exciting, and we'll be watching this space to see what the future holds for you. So, good luck in the future, dude.
Thanks, Raph. That means a lot, mate.
No worries, man.
Well, peace out, everybody.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.